Hi, my name's Leon, and for the past few years on this YouTube channel, I have lamented how much I despise online activism, because while you have instances where people are actually trying to get the word out about something that they deem as unfair, and they're trying to get people to understand it in a nice, fair, concise manner that doesn't lead to a lot of people annoyed, you have had the growing conversation of online activists pretending like they care just so that they could be viewed as someone who is the holier-than-thou arbiter of all things problematic that they want to solve, even though they will spit in your face and tell you that what you're doing is not enough, and will tell you to do things above and beyond while they sit comfortably at home, because it's more important for them to have a hot take than it is for them to actually care about insert group here, because insert number of likes over here means way more to the egos of a self-righteous individual who wants to pretend like they're a hero and get attention from a bunch of people who also want to pretend like they're heroes because mommy, after shoving them out the puss, didn't give them enough of that nipple while growing up. And as the only trans ally online, and somehow at the same time the only black transphobic wizard in the Hogwarts universe, according to Twitter, I have unique rule over anyone who likes to deem themselves a trans ally. Now let me be clear. If you are a grown adult, I'm gonna say that again Dr. Umar style, if you are a grown adult who is a man, and you someday feel as though you're tired of feeling the dryness of a pocket pussy and tired of spraying Windex in it so that you can get some form of wetness in it, and you want to have that on your own inner thigh, go ahead, don't care. If you're a woman who always wanted to experience what it's like to jerk and have post-nut clarity, and you want to create like this makeshift ween between your legs, go ahead, I don't care. All I ask is that you leave the children out of it, because what you're doing in your 30s and your 40s never really concerns me. That's your life. But when you're sitting here and you see a child playing with a Barbie doll, they just so happen to be a little boy, and that conversation in your mind clicks that there's signs that you're transgender, you're losing me to the absolute nines. People are often confused about themselves, and the last thing they need is someone else who's confused about themselves egging it on, because while you want to pretend that transitioning has 100% goods, I don't care how much you try to delegitimize all these people who detransition, you have to talk about the bad as well. And the reason we're here today is because the transgender reputation is under attack. Why is the transgender reputation under attack, Leon? Well, there was a school shooting this last week, and a transgender was the one that committed the atrocity, and people have been running around through the nines trying to defend said transgender that shot up the school. And we're going to go about dissecting 3 instances where someone tried their hardest. And let's start with door number 1.
This is for the people who, regarding the school incident in Minneapolis, insist on referring to the accused as Robert, which is that person's birth name, evidently later legally changed to Robin. This is for you. My grandma always hated the name she was given. She was given the name Patsy. She always hated it, but she didn't want to hurt her mother's feelings. After her mother passed away, she decided to change her name legally to Patricia. Now, do I call my grandma Patricia, the name she chose? Or do I insist on referring to her as the name she was given at birth? No difference. There's no difference. Your trans hate is shining through loud and clear.
So I'm currently walking home from open house, and I really quick wanted to address the situation that happened this morning at a local Catholic school. I don't know any of the kids. I don't know any of the parents. I don't know any of the teachers. I don't know anybody from the situation. But one thing that I'm already seeing is that, and I know people are going to come at me, and you know what? I don't care. Just by the way, we cannot misgender the shooter. Okay? I'm not a professional by any means when it comes to gender, but I've done enough research. I've also spent plenty of time with people that are trans, and we cannot We should not, and we will not misgender them. We do not misgender somebody just because they did something wrong. The last time I checked, we haven't misgendered any cis white males. And we need to talk about the mental health issue. Goodness knows we need to talk about the mental health issue. But we're also not formally blaming people with disabilities. We're not blaming people with disabilities, and we're not blaming trans people for what happened. This was the actions of one individual that is part of greater communities. That's all I have to say for now. Again, if you don't have anything nice to say, you don't need to be in my comments.
Obviously, it needs to be understood that respect is something a lot of people want, a lot of people crave, and a lot of people hope for in terms of dealing with strangers, coworkers, family, and friends. I, speaking for me, will not give a solitary fuck about you, your dignity, your race, your expectations, your respect, none of that. I will not care about that if you willingly do something that openly disrespects another human being. And I can't think, yes, I can. There are things that exist that would immediately wash away that respect I could have for you, your pronouns, your feelings, your sexuality. And killing children, shooting children, traumatizing children is on the top of that list. So, no, madam, we're not going to be playing this game of we must make sure that we're not going above and beyond to disrespect the shooter, because the shooter did not care about anyone else. And that's door number one. Door number two.
I don't talk much while I'm traveling about political stuff, because that's not the focus. But at the moment, I want to talk with everyone about the situation and the Catholic school shooting. That poor girl who attended the school and went in there and shot up the school after transitioning and after attending that school, and we can only assume that that school, as a Catholic school, did not welcome her, did not make her feel seen, included, safe during her confusing years, during her transitional years, during her becoming who she needed to become. But the goal was to become happy when you transition. And so this is going to feed a lot of conversation about mental illness around trans people, and this is why people shouldn't encourage people to transition. And it's just so sad because it affects the LGBTQ plus community.
Now, you would be one to think that this kind of ties into the first door. Well, yes, but not so much the so. Because when you're dealing with the overarching reputation of every single person in insert group here, you're going to have to understand that no matter, and I need you to listen to me clearly here, no matter if you are transgender, whether you be transgender white, transgender black, transgender Mexican, which I guess these individuals don't exist because they all got deported, so none of them matter anymore, Irish, Polish, Asian, Japanese, Chinese, black, white, don't matter. If you just so happen to do something by yourself, or maybe it's one of your buddies, that's on you. I can't really sit here and look at one example or even 10 examples and try to puff my chest out and say, it's everybody, it's every single one of us. Because if I do that, every single black person, including this one, is nothing more than a thug that's on Section 8 housing. Every white woman is nothing more than a crack addict who's desperate for somebody to love on them to the point where they're going to violate children. You see how this cycle will go if you sit here and think to yourself that just because you see the same subsection in a small percentage do something and you turn it into everybody? That's a game nobody can truly win, and it's nothing more than pointing the fingers. And when we're sitting here trying to placate the reputation of the trans community, I'll be the brave one to say it and say this piece of shit who shot at children, who killed children, is not the rest of the trans community, is not every single other person. And again, I'll repeat myself. If we want to play this silly little game, Leon, you should look at the patterns of this and this and this. Sure, I'll do it, but not just in a manner that can make you feel confident. I'm going to make it in a manner that makes you realize that, yeah, as much as you want to try to play that game, I'm going to win that game and have you and everyone else watching recognize that you should be fatigued by not just one insert group here, you should be fatigued by all of humanity. And you know, these have been the more tame options in terms of how one is truly ready to damage their own sanctity just to pretend as if they care about insert group here. But I need you to understand that it all crescendos in this one finite bubble, and I want you to put a pin in that because we're going to come to it after I show you the third really bad way to stand up for the rights of trans people. And you could think in many different ways. How could that be? Well, after a shooting where someone kills children, you would think everyone would have the understanding of, fuck that guy. Why? Because they killed children. You can spout your political beliefs all you want, and I will tell you to chuck it, because what matters is that somebody killed children. And when I tell you that and then show you for some reason a website where people are making fucking merch, you'll tend to understand why activism is something that I must rule with an iron fist. Because when we come and look at the markup of a discounted price that's not really a discount when you think about it, and you see this bio that we're going to read, you tend to understand why some people view the transgender community as nothing more than pretentious people who are devilishly inclined. But let's read. It's hard to believe, but sometimes the simplest things can hit you the hardest. I remember one particular morning I was just scrolling through the news, you know, like everyone does, and then I saw it, a story about this kid, just a kid who was facing the world, and it hit me, really hit me, how much courage it takes just to be yourself. It made me think about all the kids out there, the trans kids, and the battles they fight just to be seen, and honestly, it made me feel, I don't know, just helpless. But then I thought maybe there's something small that I could do, something to show my support. Robin Westman Protect Trans Kid Shirts. Now, the name, well, it's pretty straightforward. Robin is a friend of mine. Also, the last name is a reminder of an old friend who is struggling, and she's someone who fights for what's right. Protect, because that's exactly what it's about. It's about creating a space where trans kids feel safe and supported, where they know somewhere, someone has their back. And trans kids, well, it's the point, isn't it? These children are precious children who deserve the chance to live authentically. It's a reminder of love, the courage, the strength that burns within them. This shirt is just a fabric. This shirt isn't just fabric. It's a statement. It's a visual hug, a whispered promise of solidarity. It is for you and for everyone. Now, I'm going to play this game because there's always that part of my mind where it's like, you know what? Somebody might just be trying to stoke a little bit of outrage. They're trying to get people amped up by seeing something and having merch made in support of a guy who shot up children. And you know what? Let's tickle the balls on that. You are fucking deranged doing that also. And if this is real and a motherfucker is just sitting there saying, oh, we got to have some genuine support for a guy who shot up children. Listen, if you are someone foolish enough to think to yourself, oh, I feel unsafe here, I feel unsafe there, I don't feel protected here. This ain't the 1860s where it takes you 30 days to get a message from your neighbor that's across the street. You can find people who will accommodate every feeling you have. I'm in a group chat full of grown adults who all love 7-foot women. The group chat is called Death by Snoo Snoo. Do you think that I say that and think that I'm normal to you? Yes. Kick rocks. But to keep it to the main point, you cannot sit here and convince someone like me that a guy, straight, trans, lesbian, bi, don't matter, can go in and kill kids and think, time to take that pin out, it's time to start respecting them, because if you don't, it somehow affects all of the trans community. Listen, do I know any trans person on hand? No. But I'm willing to bet if I line up at least 500 of them, I'm going to say at least 40 was trying their hardest to just feel comfortable. Now, maybe other ones are trying to fill out a sexual desire. Maybe they got a kink that they want to do. Maybe they lost a bet. Everybody has a different reason as to why they're doing what they're doing. But I'm going to willingly hope that a lot of them wouldn't just go in there and shoot a bunch of kids willy-nilly. I don't care about bullying. I don't care about video games influencing. I don't care about children not getting love from parents. You take take a life, you lose that respect. You lose that core dignity anyone is sitting here pining for you to achieve. You lose that. Not everybody else, just you. It's okay to make fun of a murderer. It's okay to make fun of a criminal. I remember at one point somebody asked me, Leon, how would you feel if a black guy shot up a school and everybody just started calling him the N-word? Hello, this person doesn't deserve respect. I am consistent, none like these people who are desperate to try to get a gotcha because their whole layer of understanding is easily blown away, and all you got to do is pucker your lips randomly and just go, whew. Let me explain something. Trans allies, your reputation of pretending like you give a fuck disastrously gives a lot of leeway to your opposition. You know, those evil conservatives who already hated trans people, and this is just another piece of ammunition. And when I show you people who lose the plot because they're more worried about the reputation of a murderer and a group of people who weren't even there over children, congratulations. More conservatives are going to hate you. More conservatives are going to hate transgenders. And that's nobody's fault but your own, because instead of just doing the simple thing, which is, and I know it's pointless for some people, saying rest in peace to children, saying hopefully these children go through a lot of therapy so that they can overcome the trauma of almost dying. Hopefully these hospital bills aren't egregious for the children who are still alive, or you donate to somebody's GoFundMe, Give, Send, Go, any of these places so that they could maybe afford either a funeral cost or hospital costs. But instead you want to focus primarily on making sure that people are nice and respected. You're welcoming the conversation you're trying your best to avoid, but in reality, you want to have TikTok live debates to where you could own a conservative and you think that's the greatest thing under the sun. And to all of you that do that, you're the reason Trump won, and you ought to be ashamed of yourself. And how low could you truly go to think that dunking on people and not inspiring people to actually create any type of political change will actually benefit you in the long run in terms of the presidency? Congrats, you wasting your own fucking time, but I hope the money is worth it. And to wrap this all in one unique bubble, if you're going to pretend to be an ally to insert group here, my recommendation, stop trying to sound smart if you're going to defend or stick up for or give a damn about a criminal, a murderer, a school shooter while he's prancing over dead bodies and then taking his own life, because facing the consequences is often difficult for pieces of shit. Subscribe to the channel. I will see you all in the next one. Mwah. Only trans ally here is out.